that's fine. I remember that before the implementation of the e-levy, I had made the comments that tithes, offertories, and zakat, if paid using digital platforms, will be subject to the e-levy. He took me on that. I have a story here, which is dated 2nd May 2022 by Jesse Ola Morris, 2:07 p.m. on My Joy Online. It says e-levy will apply to your tithes. Telecöms chamber CEO confirms. So this is not a position Sam George is taking. The charging entities are largely the MNOs, the telcos. The telcos have a chamber that represents their interest, and the CEO, a senior engineer Kenneth Ashigbe, has come out clearly to state that my position is the fact. So John Kuma can beat around the bush and turn around and make all the claims. And that's why I had to come back to him when he put out the Perez Chapel. I'm an elder of Perez Chapel. That's not news. Put out the merchant ID number for the church. I said to him that he clearly doesn't understand the policy. Having a merchant ID does not make you tax e-levy exempt. And I've made this education. We're trying to educate the public. That's why you can go to a shop that has a merchant ID and make the payment and still be charged the e-levy. Because when you get a merchant SIM card, that SIM card is given to you by a telco. One of the requirements for getting a merchant SIM card do not include being tax compliant. Do you get it? So the exemptions for GRA for the e-levy are that you are a taxpayer in good standing. But in getting the merchant ID, that is not a requirement. So there are people with merchant IDs. You go to many grocery stores who are not even registered with Registrar General, not to even talk of having tax ID numbers, who have merchant IDs. So you can make a payment to a merchant ID, but still be charged for the e-levy. And that's what our Deputy Finance Minister doesn't know, and it's sad. Okay, so yes, Perez could have or has a merchant ID. Perez is registered as a charity. All religious entities are registered as charities. They are tax exempt. So they do not have tax standing. Their TIN numbers do not show that they have paid taxes for a period of time. So if you take the TIN number connected with Perez's merchant ID, what the system does, the way the system is configured, because there has been no special configuration for charities or religious organizations, and that's why we raise these issues. For the implementers of the policy to learn and see what the challenges are and try and address them. Because that tax ID number is registered for a charity and as such does not have tax compliance in terms of records that show tax have been paid, the system is structured to read it as a TIN number that has not paid taxes. For that purpose, when you send to that merchant ID, you'll be charged Momo. Now, even when you come to Perez, and I'm using Perez because he used Perez, and that's where I go
and put out the ID number.
And put out the merchant ID. We have a merchant ID from a telco. However, we also have a short code, which is what I use. I have never paid my tithes using a merchant ID. I've always used the short code because you see, when you use the merchant ID at times, you even get to pay the service charge of the telco.
Yes.
But some churches have short codes from PSPs, payment service providers, where the service fee is absorbed. So Perez has a short code, *800 *1000#. If you try it right now, you will see it. It gives you options, and we configured that during the COVID, where, you know, churches, when we had limited number of people attending church services, you had to book a seat. I don't know if you remember.
No,
one of the COVID protocols, to go to a service, you had to go onto a platform, book that you will attend first or second service, because you had a cutoff of, I think, 100 people. So once the 100 was hit, you couldn't. So we had, that was when *800 *1000# was developed by Perez Chapel, where you will book. So if you use that platform now, you still see book a seat, tithes, offertories, and donations and all of those things. Now, when I use that platform to pay my tithes, It doesn't charge me. If I'm paying 1,000 Ghana cedis as tight, when I do the transaction, I am deducted only 1,000 Ghana cedis. If I used any of the other short code numbers, it would deduct me, for example, if it was MTN, it would deduct me 1,000 Ghana cedis and the 1% service charge of the telcos, which has now been reduced to 0.75. But at that time, that would have been 10 cedis. Well, that is also capped at a maximum of 10 cedis. So then I would have paid 1,010 Ghana cedis if I used the regular platforms. But if I use the star 800 star 1,000, only deducted the 1,000 Ghana cedis from my wallet. Now the problem is, if I use the star 800 star 1,000 hash
which
today,
is the short code.
Today, it doesn't deduct only the 1,000 Ghana. It deducts the 1,000 Ghana and the 1.5%. So it means that previously I paid to my church and to God only the value of my tithe from my wallet. Now, when I use that same platform to make that payment to God, the state has introduced a 1.5% tax on it. You see, when they say, I should not say that, it is the reality. Right now, when I do a transaction of 1,000 cedis, I'm going to end up paying 1,000 cedis and 1,015 Ghana cedis from my wallet. So you cannot tell me that the e-levy has not affected the value of my tithes and offertories. If the minister, the deputy minister, and the implementers were so inclined, what they would have done would be to take this in good faith and begin to look at asking all churches. And again, I've been accused many times of offering practical solutions to the problems for government. They would have been looking at practical ways of getting the system to recognize seams or short codes used by these entities that are tax exempt. But like I said, the CEO of the Chamber of Telecoms has made the case and settles it for me. Whether a deputy minister says I'm lying or not, or dances around it, or says I don't have a brain or I'm not using my brain, is neither here nor there. When people pay their tithes and offertories today, they see the reality there. And you see, that's what President Mahama was speaking about. That we do not need to come, we need a new kind of politics in this country. Ghanaians are tired of the political football, the politics of equalization, the politics that says, oh, the NDC did this, so the NPP is doing this. I mean, you listen to the responses that have come. Take, for example, President Mahama has made a fantastic statement where he has found, I'm dealing with the e-levy portion of his statement, where in his statement he makes the claim very clearly. We have no problems with taxation. We believe taxes build a country. However, we have a problem with a tax system that is discriminatory and that is actually not based on the principles of taxation. You understand me? We have a problem with a tax system that is discriminatory. Why remittances from the UK to Accra do not attract charges of the e-levy directly, even though indirectly there will be, you feel the impact of it, but remittances directly do not reflect a 1.5% charge. But if I remit money from Accra to Ningo, it charges 1.5%. That's discriminatory. If me and you go to the filling station, you pay cash for 1,000 Ghana cedis worth of fuel, and I also buy 1,000 Ghana cedis worth of fuel, and I pay with a digital platform, I pay more. I go to a bank, and I want to do a settlement of a check, and I use the instant pay platform, I am charged 1.5%. You use the ACH platform, you are not charged. It is this discriminatory disparity that we complain about. It is the fact that this policy is a single biggest inhibitor to the progress we have made over the past 12 years in moving our digital economy and bringing acceptability to digital currencies. You have a central bank that is planning to roll out an ECD. And yet we're introducing a policy that moves people away from using digital platforms. We used to be in this country where when people started with the e-switch card and digital payment platforms, you go to a shop and you want to buy and pay with digital money, and they'll tell you no, they won't accept it. We've moved from that place to where today in Makola, people accept payment using mobile monies. And we have a situation where all of that is being eroded. People don't understand what this does to the macroeconomy of our country. In the next year to 2 years, you begin to see the reality. You have a threshold of 100